little behind the scenes. You get to see what we do on a Friday, a little situational mastery and special teams, and really simulated for some young guys kind of a mock Friday for them as we get closer to game one. Really looking forward to getting to the Coliseum tomorrow for a couple of reasons. One, to be able to see a bunch of younger kids play and see where they're at after 3 good weeks of practice. And then two, to be in that stadium again and have those kids get comfortable within that environment as we draw closer to Western Michigan. So I'm excited about tomorrow. Came out healthy today, which is great. And besides that, I'll answer any questions you got.
What are some of the positions that you're going to keep a closest eye on tomorrow?
I really want to see the wide receivers, especially with Pitt being down now, who's going to be that next man up, and being able to see who's going to step up there. I'm looking forward to seeing the nose tackles play, the 3 nose tackles, and seeing where we're at there. And then I'm looking forward to seeing how young kids operate, both not only offense and defensively, but in special teams. There's so many good athletes on this team right now that I look up and you see an Isaiah Polamalu and a Bubba Bolden and a Levi Jones, just to name a few, that can really come in and help us not only as role players defensively, but really make a statement in special teams also. So there'll be some live segments that we'll do with special teams tomorrow that I'm really looking forward to see their grasp on it right now and see if they're ready for game one.
When you're evaluating your receivers, you got like 10 or 11 guys here. What, and you're putting a depth chart together, what do you kind of value the most? Is it speed? Is it sure-handedness? Like, how do you kind of evaluate that group?
I think the biggest thing is just starting off, making sure they can get lined up in a no-huddle offense and be able to play fast, play assignment sound, and then do they produce? When given the opportunity to put themselves between the defender and the ball, do they make the play? That's kind of it, is being able to how well do they know the playbook at this time, and then how well are they producing?
Have you gotten
Go ahead.
Have you gotten closer with that group? Because it seems like Steven, Jalen, and Deontay have been kind of a trio together at least.
Well, obviously they've had the most reps of anybody, and then you got some young kids that are really coming into their own, and that's really what tomorrow's about, is to kind of, again, get the reality of where they are, make everybody step back on the sideline. As you see, we coach every second of the day when we're out here on the practice field, with coaches coaching as hard as they can, but when you get in those real-life scrimmage atmospheres, you step back and see what the kid knows, and those are my favorite times. Sometimes your blood pressure goes up as an assistant coach, but as a head coach, you really get to see the reality of where they're at.
Are you feeling better about this team at this point than you were last year?
Yeah, just being in the systems, all 3 systems, offense, defense, and special teams. Being in the second year, you can even come out here today. I mean, last year, this Friday, it felt like it took 2 hours, and you saw how fluid it went with the special team situations. This is just another year of being in our culture and in our system, and kids knowing what we expect from them. And I really like where this team is at. We got 2 more weeks of work before game one, but they're in a good place right now.
In what ways do you feel that this team could be better?
Right now, just for myself, is just a consistency in the offensive skill positions. I think there's a lot of talent there, but the consistency on a down-to-down basis is where I hope we get better at.
How did you like the jerseys? The kids said they really liked them, but
yeah,
they were not crazy about the guy that modeled it.
I know. I walked in with one yesterday and said, "What do y'all think?" And I'm a little bit overweight for one of those tight jerseys, but they put it on. They look a lot better than me.
What's the biggest difference for Amon this year, going into that kind of primary number 1 cornerback role?
Yeah, it's a big year for Amon going into year 3. All of a sudden you're losing Adoree Jackson as the leader back there, and between himself, Chris Hawkins, and Marvell Tell, you really hope that leadership picks up. We saw it in the off-season and off-season workouts, and you're really seeing it out here. And what I like about him is how hard he's worked in this camp. He's really not, comfortable or satisfied with where his game is. You see him after practice, after every practice, working one little tool that he can put in his toolbox. And I appreciate that as a coach. You never stop growing as a player, as a coach. You're always trying to get better, and that kid does each and every day.
Did
How
that
often last
almost
year?
work against him at times? He was almost trying too hard to be better.
I don't know. I tell you what, probably the biggest thing with Amon is he's so competitive that he tries to win every situation, and sometimes if he got out of place, those hands would start grabbing. And one of the things, as you've seen in one-on-ones, we're bringing those gloves out just to help him with some of that. And he's one of the more competitive souls I've ever been around. He is a perfectionist. He wants to be great for his teammates, and but I think I wouldn't say it's from overwork, probably being ultra competitive. Yeah.
Got time for one more.
How often last year was he matched up against another team's top guy? Like how percentage of the snaps?
Well, in this league, you look up and you're playing Washington, and they've got one on each side. In this league, it's a passing league, and it's one of those things where you have to have two good corners at all time, and really a nickel also. And we're fortunate. We were fortunate last year to have, not only Amon but a Dory and a Jane in those roles, and now with a Dory, Jack's kind of stepped up in that position. I think Isaiah Langley may have to go out there at times to be able to help us. And Jamal Cook, you never know when you get a ding, having the next guy out there. So, but right now, Big E has had a ton of experience and a ton of reps, and I just think it's going to pay off for him.
Okay.
All righty, guys.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.